You're listening to Oilersnation Radio, presented by the Nation Network. Subscribe for free on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Oilers Nation, episode 65. It is a very special episode because today is the last one we have with Tyler before he goes down to Disneyland to become a married man.
Woo!
Oh, beautiful.
It's really nice, man. I'm proud of you.
The bachelor party episode.
You're just going to ignore me?
I was paying attention to social media, and it seems like it's a thing. So
I think the people want you to get married, man.
It is a thing for like 5 people. 5 people and 5 listeners. 2 of the people are in this room.
Yeah.
That's good.
I don't know. I was seeing a lot of chatter about it, and I don't know who was feeding them that information, but it seems like they were acting on their own.
I saw some people volunteering to be bridesmaids.
That's it.
Oh,
That's really nice, man.
Well, you offered to have a bridesmaid
That's true.
as your best person.
Yeah, it's 2019. Tyler's open to anything.
If I get married, Surveyor Brett is my best man.
He's going to really like that.
Yeah, well,
He was
actually,
giving me-
he'll be my best man if he starts giving me some fucking calls in rec league.
Whoa.
he was
Oh, he refs you.
He hasn't in like a year, but he refed me at Hockey Helps the Homeless, Brownlee's big event.
Yeah.
And I carved him for it. I think I've told this story on the podcast before where I'm over the boards ripping him about everything. And some of the guys on the bench like didn't know that obviously we knew each other. So they're just kind of looking at me being like, what the fuck is your problem? You're like carving this guy in a charity hockey tournament.
I got a DM from Surveyor Brett on Wednesday morning. He wanted me to wish you congratulations on your upcoming nuptials. He also said you should see Tyler play hockey. He starts off all happy and jokey, but as the game goes on, he starts to complain, and then he gets mad. And by the end of the game, he's yelling about calls.
Well, kind of like this podcast.
I called him with a hook with about 3 minutes left once in favor of his team, and he skates by the bench and yells, "Oh, now you finally get a call right." He came by and begrudgingly shook my hand after the game. He's always pissed.
As an old man, Tyler, as the game progresses, his joints get a little bit sore. He gets a little bit more tired, and he doesn't have as much time for people.
You could honestly ask any ref in the CCRHL. First opening face-off, I tap their shin pads. I'm like, how's it going, man? Like, how many games you doing tonight? I'm always very nice. By like halfway through the second period, I'm just like, are you fucking blind?
As always,
respect.
Oilers Nation Radio is brought to you by our friends at Sherwood Ford the Giant. Go ahead and follow them on Twitter at Sherwood Ford and on Instagram at Sherwood Ford _the Giant. Daniel, what's going on at Sherwood Ford?
December is kind of a quiet, nice month for them. They did their big Stuff a Giant truck campaign last month, and I was lucky enough to be able to be asked to come along and drop those off at the Strathcona Christmas Bureau, and that's a pretty special time. It's a pretty special thing to be a part of, and so thanks to Sherwood Ford for being the great people that they are.
And also, if you see see Jay cruising around, Jay sitting in on the podcast today, Rick is not here. See him cruising around in the Nation Truck. Take a picture and hashtag it with Nation Truck for your chance to win a $100 gift card.
Yeah, come find me. I'm rolling all over the city. There's not 1 inch of this city I'm not driving over.
And chirp him for having a dirty truck.
It is very dirty at the moment, but the road conditions are tough to compete against when trying to keep a vehicle clean.
When are we getting the content for the $4 wash?
It's a $3
It's a
wash.
$3
wash. $3
How
wash.
dare you?
Sorry.
Who's got that kind of money? Jesus.
In this
it's a
economy?
recession, buddy.
Yeah.
Jeez. I'm going to have to turn it into, squeeze it into a $2 wash. I will do. You don't even have to time lapse it. It's so fast. It will fit within a 1 minute Instagram video. $3, clean truck. Let's go.
Tyler, let's start off with the Sherwood Ford Giant question of the day.
Giant.
Sherwood Ford Giant question of the podcast. What % chance would you give the Oilers right now? This is before their game on Friday night against the LA Kings. What percentage chance do you give them of making the playoffs?
100%. 2,000%. They're in. Let's go.
That's
You're shaking your head at me. Why?
because like 100%.
1,000%.
101%.
Jay Peterson on Instagram said 65 or 70%. Dan said 100%. Whiskey Woman said, as Connor McDavid once said, if you don't believe, you need to leave. She said 100% chance. I'm around 75. It is concerning that they lose to bottom feeder teams. It's concerning that their bottom 6 might be the worst bottom 6 in the NHL. There's a lot of red flags with this team.
Here's the best thing about being bad against bad teams who aren't in the playoffs. Bad teams. They are setting themselves up for a huge playoff 2020 run.
75%. That's just
good.
weak. No, It's either 0 or 100.
No, it's not. It's 75.
What's 75%?
Could
That's
also
a
be
weak
50.
That's a good. I like that. That's
You're either
you're
first
either
or
in or
last.
out. Yeah, you're in or you're out.
No, having said that, 110%.
Nick, where are you at?
Well, I got to back up and that claim that we might have the worst bottom six in the league. Like, how do you qualify that? Are you watching? Are you
Wait,
seriously
you just
watching?
said that, Tyler?
Yeah.
You just said
Man,
we might
they-
have the worst bottom six.
But
in the
like,
league.
come on,
he hates
you're-
A little high, maybe a little bit of hyperbole in
That's
there.
absolute
I respect
hyperbole.
hyperbole.
They're in the bottom third,
Well, sure,
and
Okay,
they're probably in the
that's-
bottom
that's-
five.
So
They have absolutely no one that drives play in that
I
bottom
have
six.
no
None.
So, how many Minnesota Wild games have you watched this year?
Still, I guarantee you, if you, I know, yeah, I know what you're
Dropped a
saying.
wild bomb on you.
Yesterday,
75% of them.
I was tweeting with Brock Sagan during the Sens game,
Good guy.
and me and him both kind of said the same thing for the Wings and for the Oilers. Man, if you take out their two best players, it's a bunch of guys that you could see playing in like the American Hockey League, right? Like, I don't know. To me, the bottom six is still a massive issue, and that's my point. Like, it is a glaring hole on this team.
I would say majority of teams, other than the best teams in the league, probably have guys that are the exact same. I think you're awfully critical about. I mean, I'm not saying our bottom six is great, but
It's not even good.
Wow.
I wouldn't even go that. Man, come on.
Ours
Go
our
on
bottom
any given
six
night,
does
man.
a
Just go
job.
read through the box scores, and
Yeah,
you'll be
but-
like, there's
our
a bottom
bottom
six.
six does a job.
Let the box scores tell the story. So in October, it was terrible.
Yeah.
In November, it's getting better. Bottom six. But you've got guys that are maturing on the fly. Like, where
Who?
they're really Russell, Haas, Nygaard.
I like those three. I don't like the rest.
Okay.
That's half of the
But
bottom
they're
six.
Granlund has
that's
come
3
alive.
of 6, and they're starting to get better and get acclimatized to.
No,
the,
they don't.
Dan has his
score.
hand up. Dan has his hand up.
The big thing with the bottom six is that our penalty kill is the second best penalty kill in the league.
And that's
Exactly.
all
what
fine
they
and
do.
dandy.
And that's
That's
what they
huge.
do. That's what they're doing. They're here to kill off penalties and play defensively. Meanwhile, our top six goes out and kills other teams.
Tyler, I have a question. Do you think any of the bottom six, like a guy like Riley Shan or Patrick Russell, maybe a little bit unlucky to have no goal so far?
I don't think Riley Shahan's unlucky to have no goals because how many chances have you? How many times have you been like, oh, Shahan
He's
almost
only
had
a
one
couple.
there?
He's only had a couple. Russell for
Right.
sure is.
Well, he should
has
have.
gotten the shaft a few
Russell's
times.
gotten the shaft, but like I love the way Gaetan Haas plays. He's not my point is they have no threats offensively. If the if the top six and the power plays aren't absolutely rolling on any given night, the Oilers have like a 5% chance of winning a hockey game.
Well, we're in a
5%.
situation like if Jujar gets pushed back into the bottom six, that helps. Like we've got some injuries right now where our bottom six right now does not look as good as it should because we're filling 2 holes on the top six. So it does look a little bit weak or watered down. But when those come back, like
I still think even when they're healthy, man, it's not that good.
Archibald's a hell of a player, and he's
I
come
love
alive
Archibald.
in the last month.
he makes the odd defensive laps, but I love that
He's a
guy.
little bundle of hatred.
Well, what's it? What team has someone in their bottom six that's a constant scoring threat that you claim we need? Like, that's just not what bottom six do. Like, I understand the criticism, but go through any of these lineups, courtesy of puckpedia.com, if you can look up all the depth
Or Daily
on all the
Faceoff.
teams.
I'm going to open
Yeah.
30 tabs.
And like I just looked at Florida, for example. Like Mike Hoffman's playing on their third line, but that's only because the guy who's playing on the second line, I don't even know who the hell Malgin is. He's making $750,000 right now.
Milan Lucic.
You're always going to have a guy who's playing at some point in the bottom six who probably should be in your top six, but that doesn't mean that he's a constant scoring threat in the bottom six.
Was Kessel a third liner in Pittsburgh?
Whoa.
At times,
Or
yes.
times.
If you want to use Florida as an example, Noel Achari centering their fourth line, he's got 5 goals on the year. How many
That's
Oilers
not
have?
a real person.
How many players on the Oilers have 5 goals
You've
right
been
now? in the bottom
discredited.
six?
That's not a real person.
Not a lot.
Sorry.
Frank Vetrano playing on the third line, 6 goals. Brian
Making
Boyle,
people
4
laugh.
goals.
Jujar.
yeah, like a guy like Jujar. How many? It doesn't Granlund have like 3 or 4 now?
But
He's got 2, I think.
But like my point is,
It's
and I
3.
said it before, Tippett said it all along, that the bottom six kills penalties. The bottom six plays defense. The bottom six stops goals from going in the net. They're not necessarily counted on to be offensive. Do they chip in? Yes. Do they need to chip in all the time? You'd hope for more, but you don't necessarily need it because Leon and Connor and Nuge are world beaters.
So looking at the Oilers stats right now, Marcus Granlund has 3, Gaetan Haas has 2, Jujar with 6, Alex Chason with 2, our boy Ethan Bear. Go buy an Ethan Bear shirt. Nationgear.ca, he has
You mean
4.
a bear
Or sorry,
Shirt.
Bear season. It is definitely not.
Bear season.
It is definitely not that guy's shirt. It is a Bear season shirt.
It is a Bear shirt, yes.
Of course.
I honestly think you guys got the Oilers colored glasses on with this.
Yes,
always.
of course.
This is Owen Radio. I mean, come on, man.
They're second in the division. Like,
I know,
it's
and
not-
it's great.
you can't
I'm just saying that the
pretend.
bottom 6 should be better. I want it to be
I don't think
better.
we're debating
I
that.
think you're
I don't think we're
nitpicking.
debating that. That's exactly what you're doing. You're nitpicking. This is like Rick's claim that every defenseman needs to be a puck-moving defenseman. I feel bad he's not here to defend himself, but
We should shit on Rick.
Sewer him. Sewer him.
No, he got a sewer.
speaking of puck-moving defensemen, what about one that we have in the old prospect system there, Bag Milk?
That's
God.
true, because we've got a very limited time with Jay here. He's got a meeting coming up. So I need to bring up this terrible take that he had. I think, Tyler, he said this on Real Life on Tuesday, right? That the Oilers should trade Evan Bouchard sooner than later.
Yeah.
Jay defended.
Tyler has
it.
a fry in his mouth.
So to go back to Tyler's point and to bring it back to why Bouchard needs to go, do I think we need to add depth to our bottom 6? Yes.
So you're going to trade Bouchard for a bottom 6 player?
No. But this now goes to reasons why we should trade Bouchard. I don't think Bouchard's ceiling is as great as everyone does, but the fact that everyone thinks it's so great, we should leverage on that and turn that into players that we need now.
Hold on.
Our window is opening.
There was way more slanderous things that you had said about Bouchard.
I said I don't think he's good.
You said he couldn't skate.
I'm saying, yeah, well, that's. Do you have eyes, Dan? Have you watched him skate?
I do,
'Cause
and
I think you would agree
I think
with
he
me.
skates just fine.
He can skate.
He skates as good as Chris Russell.
Yeah, but he's not Chris Russell. He's not
Chris Russell.
His
He's better than
draft
Chris
pedigree
Russell.
is not Chris Russell. Like he is supposed to be like top 3 defenseman, like a top 3 guy, maybe
Right.
top 2.
Right now, he is on pace for about a 40-point season.
Which is fine. I think he's a guy who has got a ton of talent, and that has gotten him this far. But I just don't think he's a good NHL defenseman.
My argument for Bouchard just has to be right-handed defensemen are way more important than you're giving him credit
Well, then
for.
good. Add that. Get more back in return.
Trouba got what in New York?
$8 million?
$8 million.
Perfect. Get us $8 million with a scoring
Oh,
depth.
that's just so bad.
I
Because
think
then
that-
we have to replace that.
I just think that
Draft another guy.
right now we're all enamored with
Trade.
Ethan Bear and what he's doing, and I think it's amazing. However,
But that allows us to do this. The fact that Bear has come and it can eat 20 to 24 minutes of time
see, I'm not buying this argument at all.
responsibly. But I'm just saying, like, the miracle has happened. That one of the young defensemen has taken the step that we needed.
Let me ask a question. Say in the summer the Oilers decide to move on from Adam Larson.
Yeah.
This summer?
Like, yeah, this upcoming
Oh,
summer.
wow. Okay.
I'm just throwing out an idea.
Okay.
Okay.
Interesting.
Would Evan Bouchard be an upgrade on Adam Larson in terms of his ability to move the puck? And since they have generally similar skating styles.
Yes.
So if we move on from Larson, then yes, I can get a little bit more on side with keeping Bouchard just because now we literally have no right-handed defenseman or whatever one. So it makes a little bit more sense.
Wait, what?
What?
So you're okay with us moving Bouchard, but you're not okay with us moving Larson?
No.
Because Bouchard is a right-handed defenseman.
No. I'm just saying if Larson's gone, then we virtually have no right-handed defenseman. So I guess now your right-handed defenseman argument is valid.
Yes.
But I would much rather have Adam Larson on my team, especially in playoffs, because that guy has fire. I don't think Evan Bouchard has fire.
Well,
To be fair, he's
That's my
20.
take.
I mean, he's 20 right now. So,
Okay.
well, his game
can
and
you name
So
one,
was Adam Larson, and he had fire at 20.
Can you name one of our AHLers that has fire?
Well, unfortunately, Yamamoto has fire.
Does he?
Yeah, he's
What's his fire?
He's competitive. He gets in the mix.
Yeah. What? I guess
160.
my question was,
I
like,
think
what do you
playoffs,
what do you
'cause now
label
we're
fire?
building a playoff team.
Yeah,
So
we
now
should
I'm
be.
thinking of getting players who can play in the playoffs.
But we're talking about a guy that's playing his first season, his first pro season in the AHL.
Yeah.
And you expect him to be playoff ready.
No, I just don't think he's a good playoff player.
How can you say that?
This is I'm just telling you my opinion of from what I've seen from the players so far where I think he's going to project to.
Would you not think he would be an upgrade on like Joel Persson? I'm looking at the GDB Gregor's got going up on Oilersnation.com here right away. It's Friday. Right now, Persson is playing with Clefbaum. Could Clefbaum not carry Bouchard and let him work in? Or you have Bouchard on your third pairing, and then he plays on the power play.
Or we trade Bouchard for like much needed help.
Evan Bouchard, who had 21 points in 11 games last year in the playoffs.
Okay.
So
Fire.
Pretty good American Hockey League playoff performer.
Yeah. Always translates
That was the
to the
OHL.
NHL.
That was
But-
the OHL.
Always translates to the NHL, eh? OHL
He had
playoff
8
performance.
points in the 8 playoff games.
I'm just saying. Like,
does every player-
I'm just telling you, this is my opinion.
I agree. Or
He
I
is a
understand.
guy. Thank you for agreeing.
No, damn it.
This is a guy who has got
Nick
a lot.
and
Tyler,
Jay, I
In
think
my
you're
Tyler,
right.
opinion,
take that part out.
Using my eyes, I am not an NHL scout. I have no fucking pedigree to even want you to buy in to think I'm valid to say this. But from my eyes, from what I see, I just think he's a guy who's got a lot of talent, but I just don't think he's got the fire to be a solid NHLer,
so
especially in the playoffs.
In your opinion, what would be an appropriate return for Evan Bouchard?
Well, that's something I want to ask you because you guys are fucking high as shit on this.
No,
kid.
I just want to ask, like, does every player need to have fire on a playoff team? Like, does every player need to have that aspect of the game?
Certain do, but
Like,
if we lose Larson, we've lost fire.
But you can't get away with having one of your defensemen who's just
Yeah.
good offensively and
Calm,
doesn't have
cool,
quote unquote
collected.
fire.
And like also, I would like to bring
and,
up like
and
I feel,
I'm fine with that. But who is that?
Bouchard.
That's who I'm asking.
But
Yeah,
who is that
Bouchard.
right now?
I mean,
Who's
I
our
think
calm, cool?
Bear?
Larson.
Leon
Bear is fucking
Draisaitl
calm
up
and
front.
cool. So there, we've already got Bear.
Leon Draisaitl up front.
So
had a reputation
there's
of being
room for
lazy.
one on every team.
But he's not Chris Pronger.
If he is,
Not
but-
everyone needs to fucking be Chris Pronger.
But
There's
what if
only
he
one
is?
Chris Pronger.
What if he takes some time in the AHL?
If he was Chris Pronger, I would not be having this take.
He doesn't even come up next year.
If that guy starts
Well,
stomping.
he has some time to
we
season
have
in the
to
AHL.
we do have to let him season if he's going to remain an Oiler, which ultimately if that happens, I'm going to be okay with because I'm drinking water out of a fucking Oilers mug. Or sorry, I should say Kool-Aid out of an Oilers mug. So I'll buy into it, but I'm just telling you, this is my opinion of what I think about Evan Bouchard.
I just don't think
Nothing in his game tells me he's just going to fucking kill it at the NHL
the
level.
same kind of thing that I have with Rick and his call up everybody kind of mentality. I just don't think it's a move that needs to be made.
I
right now.
don't want him called up. Am I
No,
saying
I know,
he
but
should be called up?
I'm saying you're
just
saying be traded.
I'm
You're saying
the-
give up on him right now.
No, I'm saying the market is really high on him, and I'm saying I'm not high on him. So there's an arbitrage event there to be able to turn that into something of high value.
But you have a finite amount of right-handed shot defensemen, which are very rare. You have so many lefties. It's a leftporium. There's lefties at every turn. You can't take 5 steps in the Oilers organization without running into a left shot defenseman.
Tyler
You
pulling
can't
out
swing a cat without
season
hitting a
8
left
Simpsons references.
without hitting a left shot defense. I get that. But
So,
you just don't,
like, if
you
you're
just
gonna
don't
move-
keep a guy because he's right-handed.
You kind of do though sometimes.
But you
don't
need-
value him
That's not
differently.
the
That's like Evan Bouchard
Yeah,
has
that's
more
value.
value than
just because he's right-handed.
Caleb Jones and Philip Broberg because he's right-handed. And right-handed defense, it is hard to find right-handed defensemen
I
in the NHL.
agree they're limited, but you just don't like if you think he's not going to be good, but you keep him because he's right-handed. Like
I think he's going to be a good right-hand shot defenseman.
Well, so that's your opinion. I don't think he will.
We should put a bet on this.
Yeah.
This is Keegan
Your
Lowe.
basis of the whole argument is that you don't think he has fire.
And like
That's
that
one
was
of the things. He
Can't
doesn't
skate.
move. He's not a good skater. He doesn't in a playoff game where it's highly physical. I think you can eliminate him. I think you can tune him right the fuck out. That's what I care about because you know what? The Oilers are a playoff team. So
Yeah.
now I'm looking at trying to build a playoff roster.
There's like a 75% chance they're a playoff team.
Well,
and I would like to.
there's a 75% chance that I'm right about Bouchard.
I would like to turn
Well,
this back.
fuck, we're just going to say 75%. Just throw it around.
Go look
Zero
at
or
go,
100%.
Go look at Money Pucker, Dom Lucian, and the guys with the metrics.
So Dom Lucian put out some fucking crazy math stuff.
62 points. It was Jay.
Yeah, so the Oilers are going to get 62 points. So then I went and DM'd him saying, I want to bet you the Oilers are going to make the playoffs. Because I think you're wrong, Dom. You're fucking smart. You know how to play. You know how to run a fucking spreadsheet. But numbers are numbers. Like they've got a place in the game, but they're not the whole fucking game.
That's true.
I just think that we've got a guy on the lineup right now who scored 50 goals last year, and a lot of people said he did not play with fire and that he was lazy. In fact, somebody on our panel right here,
I never said he was
said
lazy,
that
and I will refuse that till the end of time.
Oh, I don't
never
know.
said he was lazy.
Oh, I don't know
Never
about
said
that.
he was lazy.
Leon has
that
fire.
he should be in the AHL.
Never said he was lazy.
That guy turns into a different person in the playoffs.
But did he always, though?
You don't know if Evan Bouchard is going to turn into a different player in the playoffs.
I'm telling you what I think he'll turn into the playoffs. I'm not using empirical data, Dom. I'm not trying to use math here. I'm telling you what I think.
And I think you're wrong.
Well, and you're fine to think that. I'm just saying we have an opportunity to trade an asset that people have put a very, very high value on that I don't think is right. So try to get something back in return that actually is of that value, and we are a better team.
You're fire festivaling him in a way.
Yeah.
A lot of hype.
Let's get some ham and cheese sandwiches.
Yeah. Very little execution.
Some jaw rule.
Tyler looks very annoyed with this take. Tyler, are you annoyed?
Yeah.
It's the face of a soon-to-be married man.
Yeah, it's all hitting him. Reality's setting in for him.
All right, I gotta go.
Okay, thanks, Jay.
Jay was here
That was
for
great.
a short time,
I'm glad we got that on tape.
but it was spicy.
Yeah.
Wow.
On tape. For the record.
gracious.
And if I'm wrong, great. I want to be wrong.
Yeah, this is one of those
Just
things
remember,
where
I want to be fucking wrong. I'm just telling you what I think.
I definitely think you're wrong. And
You're
I think
wrong.
you're
Thanks, Jay.
There goes Jay. He's off to a meeting. He comes and he throws a bomb at the podcast and then he leaves. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Tyler is also leaving, it seems. Tyler's gotten up. He does not want to be here. He is wandering over.
If you don't turn off Jay's mic, you'll get a lot of reverb.
He's producing. Look at this. Look at Tyler is running cables now.
Oh man, look at him go.
Nick, I want before we get into our skip the dishes plug here, I want you to talk about the new tradition that you have started today on Oilers Nation Radio that I'm a big fan of. I'm a big fan of this.
Well, I just thought, we come down here. It's Friday. It's the end of the week. Tyler generally has that look on his face like he needs to unwind a bit. He sometimes has to work even later because he's a hardworking young man. And actually, last week, he's feeling in his back right now. Tyler's having his season up.
Youngest guy in the room, stretching it out the most.
So last week, Tyler and I, we enjoyed a beverage. It had been a long week, and I thought, you know what? Why don't we start doing this every week? There's 5 of us here, one short of a full 6-pack. So I decided that starting today, we bring a 6-pack in, and every week, someone on the podcast, we alternate, and they decide what comes in the next week. So,
Or an 8-pack that's been
down, that you whittled down to a 6-pack because that's value.
That was a power
taxing.
move. I
It
liked
is
it.
taxing the beers. Tyler, I got a question for you. Are you a big beer guy, or are you like me where you're just a generic kind of like, I love Bud Lights. I will drink Bud Lights until there are no more Bud Lights.
Crispy Boys.
Yeah, like I do. I love watching an Oilers game with a nice Molson, right? Like I do enjoy like a light yellow beer.
Chill.
So when it comes to
but-
your turn for this,
Yeah.
to bring in some beers, do you see yourself going weird and local?
Yeah, because I like that. Like I was gonna say, I really enjoy like a nice craft beer, something that's a little bit different. So I do think I'll go off the beaten path a little bit here, try to introduce you guys to something new.
And that's kind of the idea that we kind of want to go down. I just thought for the first one, let's just ease into it with some pretty easy drinking Crispy Boys, and then let's get a little weird as the season goes on.
Dan, what's going to be your approach?
Growing up, I always just thought people drank beer just to be a part of a club. I didn't really like the taste of it.
Like the beer club.
Does anybody like beer when they start drinking it?
I remember the first time I ever like drank with my buddies, and I got my sister to boot for me.
Nice.
Massive mistake. So she goes in the liquor store.
Shout out to Tyler's sister.
Yeah, shout out to Jill. So I'm like, we pull up to the liquor store. I'm waiting in the truck, and I'm like, all right, can you go in and get me? Because me and my buddy both need a booze. I'm like, get us 12 Twisted Teas and 12 beers.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So she
Hell
comes
yeah.
out, and like I've had a beer before, but I've never like gotten drunk before. And this was night numero uno. She comes out with 12 Twisted Teas and 12 Rickards Reds. So like a 16-year-old or however old I was.
You're old.
Yeah.
I come out, and the first beer that I ever like sit down and get drunk on is Rickards Red. If you think you hated beer as a kid, just like Molson or whatever, I tell you what, Rickards Red was like drinking vomit.
Welcome new sponsor to the podcast,
Yes.
Rickard's Red.
But here's the thing.
Product shoutouts.
I
We
actually-
said we were going to go all like incognito.
Yeah, sorry, but I do enjoy a Rickard's Red now. But when you're 16 and you crack it, you're just like, oh.
What would
Tyler's getting some side cash from this podcast.
what would Ross have thought if he found out
Yeah,
that
does
Jill
Ross
was
know
booting
this?
for you?
Well, I was the youngest of 3, so by the time I got to that point, my parents just really didn't give a shit, and that
It carried on
Like-
through young adulthood.
it wasn't that long after that where my parents were just like, "I'm going to the liquor store. Do you need anything?" And they really didn't give a shit.
Nice.
So how would you describe today's drink without describing today's drink with the name unlike Tyler?
It's hoppy.
It's
Okay.
yellow.
Nice.
It comes in an
Goes
8
down
pack.
smooth.
It comes in an 8-pack.
I
You
appreciate,
can purchase an 8-pack.
I appreciate the branding. Mm-hmm. Looks nice.
It's a classic can.
It is
pretty
a classic
solid.
can.
It's like a classic 90s
Yeah,
beer.
I like
Solid
that look.
branding.
Yeah.
All around easy drinking, I think.
There's they come in green bottles or cans, and if listeners can guess what we're drinking, we'll give you a shout out.
We'll hook you up with a Nation Gear promo code or something like that. If you can figure out what we are drinking
Yeah.
based on our terrible descriptions.
But you only get one guess. You don't get to flood us with guesses.
That's
Flood us with guesses.
No,
Who
if you
cares?
flood us with guesses, I'll.
Tyler, what?
Tag all the accounts.
Tyler's
Tag
moderating.
every beer account that you think it is too.
Tyler, how would you describe this delicious ale?
It
An
is.
ale or a lager?
It's
I
extra
wouldn't s-
pale.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's like very hoppy, but it's a yellow beer. Like between this and any other beer that you'd get in the section this one is in at a liquor store, they're all the same.
Describing the color of the beer.
It is yellow.
But that, like you can go down the line of like all of those kinds of beers. That's
By
what you
saying
call
that,
them.
he knows it's not a Guinness.
Yeah, but like
Yeah.
do give it away.
Or Rickard's Red for that matter.
Yep. Show sponsor Rickard.
Anyway, weren't we doing Skip the Dishes spot
oh yeah.
here?
By the way, I'm super hungry. I am very hungry.
Well, because what would it pair nice with off Skip the Dishes?
Oh,
do you think?
there you
see,
go.
That's nice, Dan.
There you go.
All right, so here I'm drinking this delicious ale. I'm thinking that it would pair nicely with maybe a burger, maybe some pizza,
McDonald's fries.
That's a good
maybe
call.
some McDonald's
Tyler's
fries.
getting paid under the table left and right.
Just throws out every
Tyler is-
single
This is like Wayne's World 2 here.
I'm getting all my corporate sponsors. in
Happy
front of me.
Gilmore. Yeah. Smash the Subway sponsorship.
SkipTheDishes.ca, of course, has got thousands of delicious options for you if you're hungry, if you need sustenance, or if you just want to get fat like me. If you
And
want
me.
to, that's your prerogative. If you want to be a sweatpants guy like me, go to SkipTheDishes.ca and get every single restaurant that comes up on the first page.
No pants for life.
No pants for life. SkipTheDishes.ca. Pretty sure that's our official motto.
Can I ask you a question?
Of course.
So you had a tweet the other day,
Yes.
and the tweet was about Tinder. You said someone matched with
This
you.
was last night.
Yeah,
Yeah,
last
and you said they messaged you and said your articles suck.
Yeah.
You're not funny, and then they unmatched you.
Yeah.
My question:
Go ahead.
on Tinder, are you bagged milk or are you
course
government
he is.
name?
Of
No,
course
I'm a
he
government name. So this question came in a few times.
Yeah.
So I am government name. However, I do say that I'm a blogger, and my Instagram is associated with my Tinder. So if you know anything about the nation or whatever, and you come across my Tinder profile, you can figure it out, right?
Yeah, I guess. Are there pictures of your face on your Tinder?
On Tinder, yeah.
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 So like if someone wanted to make the connection, they could.
They could. And
Yeah.
You
you
could also do that by following us ever. Bag
Yeah.
Milk shows up everywhere.
yeah. Like
Little
you come to an
tidbit,
event.
little Easter egg to hide it there.
Oh, yeah. He's in
Yeah.
every picture, guys.
I am in the background. I'm the
Yeah.
extra. Bag
Yeah,
Milk, the
okay.
extra.
I wasn't sure where you were on the whole like face being out there thing, but you posted that picture of you with Stanley, and that was cool.
But if James Neal scores 30 goals, he will dox himself.
I don't think he's gonna do it.
But is that a
Oh.
thing? Were you actually gonna face reveal at 30?
Yeah, somebody like I made a bet.
The first
Admittedly,
Brumcast,
I'd
right?
had a couple of Brumskis, and I made a bet in a Brumcast. This is the pre-Tyler guest spot Brumcasts, and I made a bet with somebody that I would do a face reveal at 30. I still don't think he's going to get there. I think he's going to land on 29, and that's it.
So Lucic scored his first goal. Does that mean we're not giving up that third round pick now? Do you think Lucic just goes on a heater?
Lucic would have to score 11 or more.
Yeah, do you think he
goals
just goes on a
to
heater now?
Sky that up, but then also Neal has to score 21 goals.
What would a Milan Lucic heater even look like?
Well,
what
if
did he have, 3
what if he
goals
just
last
blows up
January?
December. Yeah, well, that was 2 goals in one game.
No,
for
that's-
Cam,
you're right, yeah.
and then 1 goal for me in the Lucic goal draft.
R.I.P.
You know,
Lucic goals.
Lucic got a bit of a rough ride from a lot of the crowd here in Edmonton, but when he would score, we loved it.
He
Like,
touched the puck.
yeah, man. Like Edmonton,
We wanted to love him.
You wanted to love him so
love
bad,
him for
yeah.
sure.
Despite how bad things got with Milan Lucic here in Edmonton, he was never, ever a whipping boy here.
No.
Everybody wanted
in
I
what
wouldn't
way,
say
though?
he was a whipping boy in the sense that like people are like blaming everything on him. If he did something, a big hit, a fight, a goal, whatever, the crowd got behind him just as much as anybody. Even if he lined up a hit that he did not execute, people would go, oh, that kind of shit.
We did have this discussion upstairs the other day because we were kind of trying to figure out who people's whipping boy is. I know Tyler has Granlund, and that'll be forever. But I don't think I really have one.
I don't have a whipping boy this year.
Like, there's
Not
nobody
really.
where I'm just like,
You can just pick
fuck,
anyone
I
in the
don't want
bottom
them to touch
six.
the puck.
Christ.
Except those three players you do like in the bottom six. You know what? Actually, Jay is my whipping boy for that horrible Evan Bouchard take.
Yeah.
Now that he's gone, can we talk about that for
I'm
a second?
so mad about that take.
What is he even talking about?
To me, it was just blind. I hate Bouchard now.
I think he's just trying to be the guy that in the room that's like, right. And so 5 years down the road, if Bouchard doesn't pan out, he can be like, remember that time I told you guys we should have traded him?
I'm
But
just
the thing-
shocked that where the take came from. Like, it's just like it's
From the
I under-
ever positive guy in Jay.
No,
And
no.
again, I want to go back to Leon Draisaitl. Sorry,
Oh,
Nick.
shit, yeah,
I want
no,
to go
of
back
course.
to Leon Draisaitl for a second in the sense that when he first turned pro, everybody was critical of his skating, and he
Dan
greatly
was.
improved it. And now he is an absolute warlord that is just destroying the NHL whenever he feels like it.
But like still people call into the shows.
Yeah, that's
Afterwards.
true. Friend of the nation, Reed Wilkins, texted me the other night after that
And I was
horrible
listening.
loss to Ottawa, which we're going to get to right now. People were unironically saying Leon Draisaitl is lazy and they can't win with him in the text line.
Like
Tyler is somebody who looks at the text
Yeah.
line like,
I'm not surprised.
how weird did those get?
No, it's just a lot of it is like Jay's take, right? He has the take in his mind that Bouchard won't pan out, and he's going to adamantly defend it and always look for reasons why Bouchard is not panning out. And I think you see that with people who took a stance on Draisaitl in his rookie year, and you'll see it with guys like Matt Benning. There are people who say it with McDavid in his own end too. They're everywhere. Everyone has, like you said, their goat where they just love ripping on them. And Matt Benning can go out in a game and make 12, 13 really solid plays. As soon as he makes one bad play, he's going to get jumped on by a crowd of people who already have it in their mind that they do not like Matt Benning. It's the same thing with Draisaitl.
Chris Russell.
Chris Russell. Oh my Lord. That's the best example, and I somehow
Koskinen.
missed it.
Still
Mikko
Koskinen.
Koskinen.
Yep.
Like, Koskinen will go out and play
Glove hand.
three good games. One shot beats
Yep.
him on the glove end, and it's, we aren't winning with him. What a terrible contract. Fuck Chiarelli. Chris Russell slides on the ice, breaks up 12 block shots, loses half an ear, and then he lets a guy beat him wide, and it's like, fuck him.
But as like a guy that gets mentioned as being a Draisaitl hater
Because you said he
at one
was going to
time,
be in the AHL.
I said he belonged in the AHL. But anyways, as that guy that is an apologist for that, I would never say that an NHL player is lazy. That's just such a stupid take to have. That's 1% of all hockey players ever making the NHL.
The one example always comes up is Alexei Kovalev.
Yeah.
But
He
like,
was so good.
that's not. To me, it's just not lazy. It's just like
Well,
whether
when
he
the
doesn't
effort
try
when the effort
or
isn't,
like,
I think lazy depends how you want to break down the actual word. But there are definitely guys who they don't bring consistency every single game that they could.
yeah, they're not consistent. That's fine. But also, it's like Lavoie.
But
has
it is
has
effort
that,
though. Like
has that
effort
knock
effort is
against him.
factored into inconsistency.
Yeah, but
it's not
but
just being snake bitten or having an off night.
But this is all perception. Like to me, if
Absolutely.
his coach comes out and says Leon Draisaitl is a lazy player, okay, maybe he's a lazy guy. But we're not in the room. We're not, like.
Hey,
to me, there's something
None of us
with,
are
like,
saying this, so
No, I know,
we need to go
but
into
it's just me railing against people that call into a radio show
Yeah.
and say that, and they're not going to listen
Fuck
to me
those
anyways.
guys.
But like the reality of any of us doing body language expert shit, saying that a guy doesn't give a fuck, he does. He's in the NHL because he gives a shit. Like they don't live, sleep, and die hockey, and then make the NHL. And they're like, okay, that's it for me.
That was
I'm
always
good.
that was always a criticism of like Carey Price when he was young because he was so
Nonchalant.
They're like, well, Carey Price just doesn't care. He has no fire, as one who was recently in the room might have said.
Such a
right?
weird take.
Yeah.
Like I get the take of like trading Bouchard because his value is high to get something in return. I get that there's an argument around that. But to be like just to trade him for the sake of trading him because his perception is perceivedly high is very strange to me. That's where I come from with that conversation with Jay because like I just don't. I'll be quite honest. I don't watch Condor's games on the regular, so I don't know how well or how poorly he is playing. But from reading scouting reports and from the draft pedigree that he had, I mean, I don't know. It seems pretty insane to be like, wow, he's a bust.
To me, this goes back to, and I said this on Real Life on Tuesday. Go download that because it's a fantastic podcast. This Bouchard thing that Jay said is kind of like when the Oilers traded
Jeff Petrie.
But even before Gilbert because
yeah.
they had Jeff Petrie. They traded Jeff Petrie because they had Justin Schultz. They traded Justin Schultz because, oh shit, they don't have anybody like that in the organization.
And they're playing him over his head.
Exactly. So to me, it's like, let Bouchard develop. Let him be the big fish down in Bakersfield if that's what happens. Then ease him in. Don't do the Justin Schultz thing like Tyler just said, where he comes in and in his rookie season, he's playing 25 minutes in all situations. That is setting up a guy to fail. Because when he went to Pittsburgh and they slotted him properly, he did very well.
And he does well in spot duty up in the top of that defense core.
Bears playing where he's playing, not because he was pushed into that position, because he earned it. And that's a big difference. And that's something we've talked about this endlessly, but something we haven't had. So to go out to actively deplete that side of the defense just for the sake of it, because you think a guy might like,
and that goes to my point, Nick. It's like, just because you have Ethan Bear does not make Evan Bouchard expendable. Because then what ends up, have both.
Because then what ends up happening is you have Chris Russell or Caleb Jones playing on their off wing because you don't have enough depths on that side. And then we're having this argument all over again. It's like, what are the things the Oilers need if they want to make the playoffs this year? More depth scoring and another
power play quarterback.
Yeah, or a right-handed defenseman who can play up in the lineup.
Yeah. I agree with you guys 100%. And Jay was talking about how you're going to hold on to a guy just because he shoots right. I actually think you are.
Unfortunately, that is part of
that's climate in the NHL right
he was also, it's not just holding on to a guy because he shoots right. He is a fantastic puck mover that happens to shoot right. And that he is one of your top prospects in the organization. And for the first time in arguably decades, the Oilers are slow playing their guys properly.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just like the only guy that to me that would make sense to be like, okay, we can trade him now because he's at his top is a guy like Caleb Jones
because he has NHL experience.
He comes up to that waiver ineligibility next year, and that's just the way it is. But to be like, let's get rid of a guy in his rookie year in the AHL. It's just
and like someone like Matt Benning as well. That's a guy who you look at the depth chart right now and you go, you know what? If another team likes him and is willing to give you a good young bottom six forward for him, you probably do it because, again, this year, like, forget next year yet. This year, you're still running Bear, Larson, Pearson, and if you need someone to call up, you got Lagesson, you got Jones who can play the right side, you got Bouchard percolating in the minors. And on the left side, like this year, you got Clefbaum and Nurse. I'll assume that Russell's gone after this season, but then, you could have Jones step up there. And so if a deal came along and someone loved Philip Broberg and wanted to overpay for him, then maybe you sit there. I don't think Ken Holland's trading his prized Swedish defenseman. He ain't going to do that.
No way.
But like, the point is, you need to look at
your...
you got him still coming up, but you can look at your organization and identify areas of strength. And that doesn't mean you trade your best prospect from that area, but it means you maybe look at some guys and go, they might be able to fill a hole, and we might be able to get a piece more valuable to our organization.
Well, so you brought up Benning. So that's a good example. So again, Benning is a guy who does get his unfair share of criticism. But that being said, he's still making $1.9 million. We are a team that is close to the cap. If we bring, let's say Bouchard does make the lineup next year, Benning is a guy who's never going to really should ever play above the third pairing, right? Bouchard is going to cost at least $1 million less than Benning. Can Bouchard not at least do what Benning's doing for the next 3 years before we decide that he is going to work out or not? Right? Like, doesn't it make more sense to have a guy, and like we talked about, in a Schultz type situation that Pittsburgh put him in, which he excelled at, is playing about 12 minutes a night, getting some opportunities on the power play, and thriving in a limited role.
And even if Justin Schultz, or even if Evan Bouchard, is never a legitimate top pairing guy, and he's that guy,
figure that out in 3 years when his contract's up, because he's still cheap and under club control.
And he's exempt from the expansion draft.
Yes.
And that is incredibly important.
Yeah, we got to keep that in mind too, yeah.
That is incredibly important. And I think back to last season before Todd McClellan was fired and how there were rumors floating around that Peter Chiarelli wanted Evan Bouchard with the team all season, which would have eliminated that expansion being exempt. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So that could be Todd McClellan's greatest gift to the organization before being fired. Speaking of which, Todd McClellan is back in town tonight.
Nice
roll there.
The Los Angeles Kings are in town. The Oilers just came off what I would argue is one of their most disappointing losses of the year against Ottawa on Wednesday night. First period, they were absolutely rolling. Mm-hmm. It looked like one of those nights where Connor was just going to single-handedly dismantle a team on his own.
Man, that breakaway on the power play with all five, or not the power, right before the power play, where all 5 Sens were hanging off of him.
Go check out Oilers Nation on Instagram, officialoilersnation.com. Dan put, or official Oilers Nation, I should say. Dan put a picture of that up. It is bananas to know, to look at that picture and see that he came out with a chance on the other end of it.
And it was a good shot.
Yeah.
It's bananas.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about the Los Angeles Kings because the Oilers so far, at least by my count, correct me if I'm wrong, they have 8 points that they have just flushed away against bottom-feeding teams. LA, Detroit, Chicago, Minnesota. And tonight cannot happen again. Mm-hmm. LA right now in their last 10 are 4-5-1. They're 11-16-2 overall. This is a game they have to win.
And not that they're a bottom-feeding team, but I would even put that Dallas game in there that they blew in the third period.
Yeah.
That one hurt. Yeah, so there's 10 points that...
Yeah.
But they were a bad team at that time. So,
Yeah.
10 points left on the board. Tyler, what do the Oilers have to do better to make sure that tonight's game does not go the way Wednesday's did against the Senators?
Just play 60 minutes. Like you played 20 minutes against Ottawa, and then you. Oh, what's a good articulate way for me to put it? That's not just saying you completely shit your pants. But that's essentially what they did, right? Like after the first period, if they could have gotten a timely power play goal in that first period as well.
3 posts by my count.
Yeah, like that's a completely different hockey game as well. So, you probably need a bounce. And by that, I mean, you either need a puck to hit the post and go in, or you need your goalie to make a remarkable save at a certain point. So you need a bounce and you need to play hard for 60 minutes. And if they do that, they'll win the hockey game. Simple as that.
Tonight, Mikko Koskinen looks like he's going to be getting the start again at the time that we're recording. He let in probably 2 horrible goals that we haven't seen from him all season against Ottawa. Mm-hmm. Anybody surprised that Tippett's going back to Koskinen tonight?
First time all year a goalie's getting a third straight start.
I'm surprised. Do you think Mike Smith's still a little bit banged up and that's why they're going back to Koskinen?
No, I think he doesn't want to put Mike Smith out against LA for a third time this season. Mike Smith allowed 5 goals that first time out, did not look good. He got yanked the second time against LA. I think he's looking at this as an opportunity to not put Mike Smith between the pipes against a team that's torched him twice and let his number one, who is Mikko Koskinen in my books, get his confidence right back after a poor outing, which is something he's given to Mike Smith a handful of times this season. So I think it's just Dave Tippett being fair.
Nick, what do you think?
Yeah, I thought for sure after that. I kind of talked about this in the office on Monday. The way Tippett, and I think Tyler and I talked about this too, the way Tippett talks about Smith as opposed to how he talks about Koskinen in post-game stuff is very different. He throws out like the Schmitty and Schmitty this, and it seems obviously he knows him better, but it just seems like there's more of an affinity towards Smith, where he talks about Koskinen. He always says like the goalie had a bad way, or I think he even said like Koskinen, like he said his name wrong even. So there's a part of me that's sort of like, oh man, he's going back to Smith. Like I honestly was like, this was the opportunity he was waiting for to be like, I knew it. Smith's the guy. Koskinen can't handle it, but he's going back to him. The numbers speak for themselves. I put out an article the day of that game that Koskinen is for like by far the superior goaltender, and of course he has his worst outing of the season. But I'm glad he's going back to him. I hope Koskinen rises to the occasion and really takes it, because the last thing we need is a goalie controversy going the other way than we thought it was a week ago.
Did you hear Dave Tippett after the game to Ryan Rashog?
Yeah.
When he said it was your fault, you jinxed him?
I wish it would have been me. I would have taken that.
Nick was lucky you didn't go after him.
Well, actually, Rashog, I don't think Rashog ever writes articles. So maybe Dave Tippett actually read yours and was like, fucking Rashog.
Yeah, Nick Rashog.
Nick Rashog. There you go.
Of course.
What do we think? Dan, did you say?
I don't know. Like, I hear what you're saying, Nick, about the coach stuff, and you're not alone in that feeling.
Look at you snacking on those fries. He's so happy with himself too, Tyler, right now. Unbelievable.
But I think that we may be reading a little bit too much into things. I think that there's a veteran goalie.
Of course we are.
I think there's a veteran goalie, and then there's a goalie that has had struggles in the past and has been playing better. And so I think that everything that's happened so far, I would hope, is calculated by design. And it's him It's him maybe trying to.
Do you mean the way
continue
the
to light
starts have gone out?
No, but even just the way he talks about it.
That's
The way he
terrible.
treats the. This is just nonsense.
I don't know
going
what's
on
going
He's
on
like
the
a
producer
fucking
chair right
pelican
now.
over there. He is a pelican with these fries. He's just swallowing them down. Look at him. He
Wow.
is so happy. Tyler,
Tyler, do you eat your fries sans ketchup? Like just dry?
I'll do what a guy's got to do.
I don't know what that means. Do you eat it with ketchup or not?
I like them with ketchup. But
Okay.
He just
did you not have
pelicaned the
ketchup?
last half of that.
Did you not have
package.
ketchup in your bag? There. Okay, there it is.
Sorry, Dan. It's
Okay.
So there's not like a cafe right upstairs or something where you could have got some, but I don't know.
But yeah, I just think.
Anyway,
I just think that it's worked so far. Maybe he's lighting a fire under Koskinen. I don't know. Like maybe Koskinen doesn't like to be disrespected or feels disrespected, and so he wants to come out and fire it up. I don't know.
Or
I
he's
hope
a Steely
that,
Finn, maybe, and they appreciate a very blunt form of speech.
on today, which is finish
the
Independence Day.
102nd finish Independence Day. Shout out to Jesse that messaged us on Instagram. Let us know that.
Pugliarvi sending us messages?
No,
I think it's Yesa.
No, not that Yesa. This is Jesse.
What if Mikko Koskinen just like thrives on being disrespected, and Dave Tippett's just like on another level
and
than
it's
all
like-
of us?
But like if you think about like a guy like Mike Smith, right? He probably demands a little bit more
Like,
kind of
like a
respect
little kinky or something. Like
from
just
his,
disrespect me, Dave.
from his coaches, and he wants to be given that shot by Dave. And you know what? It's fine for right now. It's trending towards we should go towards Koskinen more often. Of course.
I like how he's Dave to us now. He's Dave.
He's always be Dave.
But yeah, I
you know
don't know.
what? Can I blame this recent slide? Well, uneven play on the fact that we are now through November and Dave Tippett didn't even give us that fucking tip stash.
Yeah, it was quite a tease by him because he got asked it quite a bit, probably more than he probably wanted to be by
Disrespectful.
Nation fans and Nation staff, myself included. But yeah, he was always very diplomatic about it. Said the wife loved it, and I guess he doesn't want to please the wife as much.
Around the horn real quick. Score predictions for tonight's game. I'm going to go ahead and say 4-1 win for the Oilers because I will be there.
Me too.
See it.
I'm going to say 5-1.
Nice.
Price
Nick?
has righted you.
Oh yeah, like I want it to be a 4-2 or something like that. I just they got to come out and play well against a shit team. So let's
give us-
4-2.
They're due.
4-2.
All right. Dan?
5-0, 3-0 after the first period.
Wow.
Hell.
Shuts it down on an Independence Day. Finish Independence Day.
Tyler, what was your score prop today?
My pregame podcast bet of the game, which is 8-16 and 6 on the year.
Fade Yaremchuk.
Oilers in regulation. You get it at -110 on most books.
Why didn't you hammer what Dan was just talking about and go 3 goals in the first period?
Yeah, you could hammer that. The odds aren't great on it because the Oilers have been a really, really good first period over bet this year.
Are we the favorite tonight, even after losing to the Senators?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
We're heavy favorites.
LA sucks, man.
I know they're bad. but-
LA's the worst road team in the NHL. They're 2-10-1 on the road.
Their power play is the worst. Their penalty kill is one of the
They're
worst.
just terrible.
We should
Something
beat them.
interesting, though.
We've heard this script before.
I talked about this on the pregame podcast, and maybe this is a compliment to Todd McClellan. At even strength on per 60 rates, the LA Kings allow the least shots against and have the 4th most shots for in the NHL. For like a bottom feeder team, it's really interesting how good they are at preventing shots and how good they are at generating them. But again, they're bottom 3rd in goals against and goals for. It's like they're a weird team this year.
That just reminds me of that tweet that the Kings put out a few years ago about their goalie being better than everybody else's goalie for the next decade or whatever it was. Paraphrasing.
You know,
Shout out to
About
John
Quick?
Quick.
the thing with the Kings too, I remember I was looking at it last week. As far as their shooting heat maps go, they have one of the most dangerous attacks too on the ice.
It makes no sense.
Right now, I'm looking at it right now, Tyler. They're 3rd in Corsi for over 60 in the league at 60, almost 62 Corsi events. So I think it's just their goaltending. They're like watching Quick. That's the one thing they always have to do tonight is they got to play a game that they don't play often enough is get to that front of the net and get those rebounds. Because both times I've watched Quick play, those rebounds explode off his pads.
Yeah.
Like, so it must be the goaltending that's sinking them as much as it is because they, by all the metrics, this is where it comes in like eye test versus the numbers because by all accounts, LA should be where we are in the Pacific Division almost.
You know what they are? They're the anti-Edmonton Oilers. What's Edmonton bad at? Playing at even strength. What's Edmonton good at? Having 2 superstar players, good goaltending, and killer special teams. What's the worst thing on the LA Kings? Their special teams. What's second worst? Their goaltending. What do they lack? High-end skill. What do they have? 4 actually somewhat decent lines that can keep up at even strength.
I think you could have probably said that about the Ottawa Senators, though, too.
I don't want to talk about that game anymore. I'm still angry about it.
They're really bad at everything, and they still
Expected goals 4 over 60. Kings are first.
Like, that's fuck. They're in almost last. They're last in the West. But last in the Pac 8.
So admittedly, I have no idea what that stat means. And Nick, you've had to explain it to me once a morning for the last 2 months.
It basically it's just based around opportunities, giveaways, how the goalie's playing, all that kind of stuff.
But shouldn't it also be like the worst team should be up there? Technically, because
sometimes
they're not scoring the goals to beat the game to win the games.
Well, no, because sometimes the worst teams aren't getting opportunities at all, right? Okay. It's just again, if you look at the heat map stuff. Oh, yep.
It has nothing to do with the amount of goals you actually score, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Generally, teams that score more will be in the middle of the pack because it balances the numbers out more often, right?
Cool.
Yeah, it's sort of like the way PDO works, right? Like if something's a little unbalanced, it's going to be really high or really low.
I look forward to you explaining this to me on Monday morning as well.
Yeah, me too. That takes us now to Tyler. Get your buttons ready.
This is hot.
The Jasper Tourism Hot and Cold Performers of the Week. I'm going to start today, as always, with the veggies. We're starting with Nicholas Good with your cold performer of
He
the
called
week.
you the veggies.
I think it's fair to say that the panel is generally vastly unprepared for this segment, so we forget about it every week.
Please keep buying us time. Please keep buying us time.
I hate to say it, but it's got to be Mikko. Those 2 goals in 12 seconds kind of sunk him. Like the game overall against Ottawa was not good, but those 2 goals in 12 seconds, you got to have both of those. Just from where they got scored, that time of the game, you just can't let that happen.
And even he would admit it too.
Absolutely. Like just because you're the cold performer of the week doesn't mean you're the cold performer on the team.
Tyler?
Oh, that was all. You almost missed that one.
Your Jasper Tourism Cold Performer of the Week.
I love this player. He's one of my favorites. When he scores, he does hip thrusts at the blue line. He's beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely.
But Oscar Klefbom is my cold performer. He scored last night. I love him. I think on the season as a whole, he has been their best defenseman. But in the last week, he's really struggled. He's given up a lot of bad pinches that have resulted in 2-on-1s and goals against.
He's overskating behind on that one goal. He just overskated the puck.
Yeah, that was out of body experience.
That was weird.
It was weird. Like I honestly think this week was an anomaly, but I do not think it's a stretch to say he was their worst defender over the last 7 days.
The Nation Dan. He's going to be looking at the prospects, I'm sure.
Yes.
Your Jasper Tourism Cold Performer of the Week.
A kid I love. I love you so much, and I'm sorry that I have to do this to you. You showed up on our Instagram feed this week with your Halloween costume that was a year or a month old. It is one Jesse Puljujärvi.
Oh, that's cold.
Started off the season real well over in Karpat, and I don't know if it's maybe the fact that he didn't get back into the NHL or didn't get traded or what, but he has been cold. He had a goal yesterday afternoon. But otherwise, he has had no points in his last 5 or 6 games before that. So, Jesse Puljujärvi, cold performer of the week.
Can't wait for that 4th round pick we get when we finally trade him. That Ken Holland's holding out for.
My Jasper Tourism Cold Performer of the Week is Riley Sheahan. My man, you have got to get something going. I don't know if you need to pull out that Teletubby costume. If you don't know the story, I suggest you Google it. Pull out the Teletubby costume, get yourself comfortable. But we need you to put up some kind of points. You're an important player in that bottom 6. Tyler's already mad about you. I'm mad about you. Not that TV show that was on in the 90s. But Riley Sheahan.
That's it. I mean, how many people are going to get that reference?
Went right into Nick's wheelhouse.
Well, I was like, come on. Tyler, do you know what mad about you is?
No.
Yeah, okay.
Riley Sheahan is my Jasper Tourism Cold Performer of the Week.
Nope.
I didn't think I was going to get a button.
He's looking for them.
Sorry.
I'm going to start with Tyler because he's already got his fingers on the button. Jasper Tourism Hot Performer of the Week.
He's not ready.
Oh, my Tourism Jasper Hot Performer of the Week is Sammy G, baby. Sam Gagner.
Tyler, no.
You gotta love him.
You took mine.
The Gags. This is the best I've seen him play since he scored 8 points against the Chicago Blackhawks. No, he's playing really good. He's filled in rather nicely in the top 6. He hasn't looked out of place by any means. He's got 10 shots on goal in his last 5 games as well. Like, to me, there's just there's good signs in Sammy G's game, and I'm not sure if he's going to stick in the top 6 when Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and Zach Kassian are back. In fact, I doubt it, but I think he deserves to stay in the lineup. Veteran presence, is smart with the puck. Yeah, he doesn't skate well, but he does good things on the ice. I'm digging Sammy G.
That was hot. That's hot.
And don't forget, he likes to beat up Riley Sheehan. Right? Can't forget about that
That's
part.
true. Maybe that's why Riley Sheehan is still my cold performer of the week.
Well, I really wanted to take Sam Gagner, but I'll go with Jujar. He's still scoring. He's getting that thick depth scoring that we need.
He's stuffing it in there any chance he gets.
And we put the call out for we put the call out for some more depth scoring, and he's stepped up to the task. So good for him.
I just wish he kept that mustache.
He's still scoring without it though. So
it's true. I just think he looked great.
He's got the momentum.
I just think when you look good, you feel good, and that mustache was great.
He defines big dick energy, I think, out
Absolutely.
there.
This is hot.
Daniel, tell us about the prospects.
I apologize in advance for the pronunciation.
Say
of his
Evan
name.
Bouchard, say
I
Evan Bouchard,
tried
say
to
Evan
bring
Bouchard,
it
say
up.
Evan Bouchard, say Evan
I
Bouchard.
tried to bring it up through Elite Prospects, who do a great job of trying to get enunciations out there, but I couldn't get it. It's Maxime Denizikin. Denizikin.
I think it's Maxime Denizen.
That's the one.
That's really hot.
So this year he's struggled quite a bit with Yaroslav Lokomotiv's junior team, the MHL team. So he bounced down to what's called the VHL, which I don't even have the statistics for. But he's back now in the MHL, and he had 2 goals and 1 assist this week. So Maxime Denizen, the hot performer of the week for the prospects.
That's really hot.
Good job, Maxime.
My hot performer of the week is arguably one of the greatest goal scorers in the NHL today.
Sam Gagner.
He is an immovable force. He is an unbelievable human being. He is going to lift his team into a spot where they're definitely not going to be upset they traded for him for the next 4 years. Milan Lucic.
Wow.
You
what
are my
the fuck?
Jasper Tourism hot performer of the week.
This is the
Game-winning goal against the savage Buffalo Sabres.
You know what's always good is when you get a game-winning goal in a 4-1 game that ends up being 4-3.
And man, I was watching the end of that game. Buffalo almost tied that thing
Yeah,
up.
they did.
They were so close to tying that thing up.
My favorite part was that Lucic almost missed that net entirely. And he had a wide open cage.
That would have
However,
been the most Milan Lucic.
this is
thing
going
you
to
could do.
start this is going to open the floodgates, I'm sure, for Milan.
It's chicken. It's fried chicken. I like fried chicken.
Outscoring Janams Neal by a goal in December.
That's going to change tonight. He's going to score.
Okay. Who else you got scoring tonight?
Gagne is going to score. Gagne is scoring for sure.
Yeah, I'm going to
Playing
say
with Draisaitl, he's scoring.
I'll hop in on that with you. I'll say Gagne. I'll say Neil. I'll say 2 for Leon and 1 for Connor.
Okay, I like this. How many of those are going to be special teams goals?
1 of Leon's and Connor's.
Hell yeah.
Okay,
All I know is Gaetan Haas is
on
gonna go
Oilers
over
related
60.
question, is David Pastrnak going to score 60 goals this year?
What's he on pace for?
I think he's about that.
Somewhere around there. The dude is on a heater to end all heaters right now.
In his last 5 games, he has 2 goals. In his last 10 games, he has 9 goals. On the year, he has 25.
I don't know. He's hit the. I watched a bit of the game last night thanks to hockeyfights.com, and there was a fight in that game. You can go check that out on hockeyfights.com. The Bruins announcers have been complaining about his treatment that he's been getting from other teams. So if we've heard that before with one Connor McDavid, that he might be getting shoved around. He got smoked just before the fight broke out.
I just think that just again goes to a conversation we've had many times, but the refs in the NHL are complete trash.
Yeah.
So I just think for Pastrnak, it's probably going to just be a question of if he gets hurt, how long does that hold him out? Knock on wood that he doesn't.
That was glass, but okay.
He's fun. He's fun to watch. No matter what you think about the Bruins or whatever, Pastrnak is fun to watch. I want to end this week's podcast with a quote from Ken Holland, and I want to know if you guys agree with his assessment. According to Ken Holland, a day or two ago, he says, you look at the standings and you have to be very happy competing with the best teams in our division. It's been a really good 30 games. There are still 52 to go. It's going to get harder. It's going to get tougher. But I think so far, so good. Do you agree with that, Nicholas? Good.
Which part that's going to get tougher?
Just all of it in general.
I think for sure as we move into December and January, generally games tighten up. Players it's like the dog days of the season. And this is really where the depth scoring thing is going to have to show itself, I think. But I mean, we're doing things that are putting us in position to win with the special teams. And with some of the other guys that are starting to step up, like Kara, even Gagne when he's in the lineup. So it's going to get tough. It's going to get tight. At some point, we might go through a bit of a losing stretch, which every team does, and it sucks. But at the end of the day, even if we don't win the division, we're going to make the playoffs.
Tyler?
I think there's been a couple rough moments so far in the season, but on a large majority, the first now 2 months of the season has been a massive positive, and this team is in a divisional playoff spot, which at the beginning of the year, I honestly would not have predicted that they would have been. I had them as an 88 to 90 point team, and maybe they could squeeze into a wild card spot or just grab that third spot from maybe someone else, but they've been a blast to watch, because when they're winning games in a very, very fun way, because it's high skilled, it's power play goals, and it's good goaltending. So I'm very pleased with the beginning of the season.
Dan?
Yeah, the Pacific Division is one of the weirder divisions in the NHL right now. From the top of the division, which is Arizona currently with 38 points, down to the bottom the division, you say the fifth best team in the division in Calgary, they're only 6 points behind Arizona. So the fall can be quick, and it can be, swift right out of the playoffs, and that's okay as long as you're still competing. And I think everybody's just kind of said it, that they're competing. They're in a spot right now, and you just take it in those. I think it was Ken Hitchcock. It might have been McClellan that had the three game breaks that you look at, and as long as you're winning 2 of those 3 games, you're doing okay with yourself. And I think that right now is our time where we're on a bit of a losing skid because of the Nugent Hopkins injury, because of the Cassian injury. Mm-hmm. These are things that we have to overcome. Luckily, we're coming up against some weak teams, and that's great. But they got to get the points.
That's another thing to keep in mind too. We haven't really had a fully healthy roster at one time this season. Whether it was Larson out for a period, now Nuge and Cass being out, so that could work in our favor too. Yeah, if we definitely have.
I actually meant to make Dave Tippett the cold performer of the week. I just remembered. He has been lying to us about Nugent Hopkins.
Yeah, that's true.
First it was he's only going to miss 2 games and then he'll be back. And then, oh no, he'll just be out for the Vancouver series. He'll be back early week. Well, now we're on fucking Friday and they're playing the Kings and Nuge is still out.
But he's skating with the 5th line.
He is skating, and that's positive. However, what is really going on with that hand, Tyler?
I don't know.
I don't know either, man.
I think there's an abundance of caution here, and I think that's a great thing. I think that you like because of where we are in the standings, we are allowed to have these kinds of moments where we let our second line center get fully healthy and don't force him to come back. Mm-hmm. Like we saw with Larson. We all said it. Larson probably needed an AHL conditioning stint, and he didn't get it. And we forced him back into the lineup. So I'm okay with Nuge getting all the time he needs to get healthy. Yes, we lost to Ottawa, and we may have won with Nuge in the lineup. But
I do find that their power play looks way different without him.
Absolutely, it does. Now Gagne has played well up on that power play.
He has. It's interesting how it separates Connor and Leon, and they move to opposite ends of the ice. Whereas when they're on the same side, they kind of have their own weird Sedin-like witchcraft.
Yeah, they're able to connect a little bit quicker.
Oh well, I guess we shall see what happens tonight against Los Angeles. We're all predicting a win. There's a big game against Jack Eichel and the Sabres on Sunday. Sabres. For our friends at Sherwood Ford the Giant and at skipthedishes.ca and at Jasper Tourism, I want to bid you all a good weekend and thank you for listening. And Tyler, if you will allow me, I just want to read a podcast review that came in on iTunes over the week.
Yep.
The best podcast I listened to, 5 stars, says guy who sponsors the podcast. Great show. Tyler is a grump. Grumpy Tyler is the best Tyler.
Yeah.
Who's Coom? Great show from our friend Drew Steele at Sherwood Ford.
Thanks, Drew.
And Tyler,
R.I.P. Coom.
Have a great time at the wedding.
We're proud of you, man.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to not fucking be here for a week.
I'm going to miss you, buddy.
That's how I'm going to end it.
I can't wait to see the beautiful photography.
Yeah, you guys are going to look great. You're a handsome couple. Very nice.
Shout out Damien.
Best wishes. Thanks for listening to Oilers Nation Radio, a member of the Nation Network of Podcasts. Make sure to follow us on all of our social media to stay up to date and never miss a podcast.